Hi, welcome to this session where we're going to look at scope. This is a high-level view at the moment, but it's quite important. Scope is one of those subjects that people think, yeah, we know we've got to deliver scope for the project. Well, that's fine. But do you understand, not you particularly, but does everybody understand what scope is actually about at a high level? What are we looking for? Why do we need to understand what scope is actually about? And there's some key elements here that we tend to forget when we think about scope. And this is very much supported by doing something like product-based planning, if you wish to use that avenue of breaking down products to understand what they are. And in that session, we look at how we work out some of these key elements in scope. So we're going to look at that right now. So I've drawn a bit of a diagram here to start out with, to encompass what we look at. So it's a very high-level view. So right at the very beginning of the project, the business will come along and say, this is what we want to deliver. Okay, I want a new website, or I want a new application form, or what it happens to be, or relocated office. So that's the scope. And scope at this level is usually made up of two main parts, right? And the first part we all know about, or hopefully we all know about, is what is in scope. What are we expecting to be delivered? What is in scope? What's the overall deliverable going to be made up of? Kind of uncertainty we look at in another session gives that high level view of what the project's all about, and the next level down, you know, the major parts, the major products, or high level requirements, whatever you want to call them, right? So what is in? Now, that should give an indication that if we've got something in, that something is out. We might not actually needing to deliver something, or we don't want to deliver something at this point in time, right? For all sorts of reasons. And that is very important to establish what that is quite earlier on. Some things the business don't want right now. I may be putting a new website up there for people to buy stuff from, but right now I don't want to put in a secure online payment system. So that is definitely out of scope. It might be not technically possible right now. They want to wait and see how the solution works, right? Or they just might not have the money for it right now. So all these things will say, I don't want to build that right now. Now, why do we need to know that right up front? Because right up now, I don't want to go build something that I don't want to have in place. I was wasting money and time in doing that. Well, money's the time and the cost, as you know. So I want to make sure that people understand this is not what we're going to have included in our final solution at this moment in time, right? So out of scope, right? And this should be in some document, usually within the plan itself, to say, when we've got in there exclusions. We've also got assumptions and assertions and constraints, all these other things are in there too. But one thing we should be saying in the main document, what is out of scope? Quite often they might even put that in the business case to make a big point of it actually. It certainly should be in somewhere where we're looking at the overall deliverable at this point in time. Now, here we go, in scope. So our project manager who's looking after this project, I'll put the name project manager here. Our project manager, right, is responsible for delivering that scope, this INDIT, right? That's what I've got to hand over to project manager at the end of the day, right? Now, that in scope is actually made up of two parts, right? Two parts. The first part is called internal scope. Internal, and the other part, strangely enough, is called external. But there is a very, very important difference between them and often gets mixed up. So what I want to do here is just explain very simply what these two differences are, right? And hopefully help to remind people or to bring it out into the open. There's a very important difference between them. It's not about who's doing the work or where the work is done. It's about who has the control, the project manager in this particular case. So this project manager for this project who's delivering this new website or whatever it is you're building, this document, has the overall responsibility to making sure all those parts, all those product requirements are delivered in that document. However, I love that word, however, that PM does not have the overall control of all those products. And this is where the difference comes in. It's about control. Okay, so this project manager here, right, is responsible for a whole pile of products that are internal. So he or she has a direct control on those products being built underneath him or her. Right? Now, that means getting whatever it is in place, getting all the systems in place, getting all the documents, getting all the hardware, getting the things built, the coding, whatever it happens to be doing, the words and spaces put down, whatever you're building. The office, making sure the desks, networks, and whatever are in place. Okay? If they're under this project manager's control. So the project manager for this project is definitely going to make sure that the whole deliverable is set over, everything is included, but isn't responsible for getting everything done. So, for example, if there's a part of the relocation that's happening, that this responsibility is being given in another project, right, that's where the difference comes in. So the external is in another project, and therefore is under the control, right, of another PM. That's one part of it, right? So say there's a relocation going on in this case, and somebody else has got the responsibility for the overall solution of helping with the decorating, for example. Or maybe this put it a bit easier. I've got a website and I want to redesign the company logos or everything, or even in the office space, we're redesigning something to do with the company logos, company business heads, all that stuff. And another PM has been given the responsibility to produce those. Right? New credit, new business cards, letterheads, all that stuff. And on there is a new logo. So I'll write the new logo here as a requirement. Right? This is a product coming out of this project. Okay? Under another project manager. Doesn't matter who's building it. That person could be sat next to that PM in the same company who's on the other desk next to this project manager. So all these three people could be sat in the same space. So it doesn't matter who's doing it or where they are. They could be on the other side of the planet. The responsibility is with this project manager to get the work done. So under his control or her control, right? But that logo is needed for this solution. That logo is needed and has to be in the final deliverable. So that is called an external dependency. Right? Because the overall deliverable is dependent on that logo, but somebody else has the control on that particular logo in getting it built. So what is important? A couple of things. Firstly, this project manager wants to make sure that he or she does not go and do the design because it's not their responsibility, it's not under their control. They need it done. And hence the second part, this PM needs to have communication with this project manager because they've got a plan when it's going to be done together. So this one knows when it's coming in and when they need to have it to be able to put it in place in the overall deliverable. And this is crafting what gets missed off. So there's a separation here between these two. It's not who's doing it in the sense of doing the actual build or where they're sat, right? Or what company they're in. It's who has the control on getting the work done. So these two PMs need to communicate to ensure that there's a good timing and a sequencing of events so that product here is ready. And that now becomes an external dependency. Right? So here when I draw, for instance, my set of requirements here, for example, right, whatever level you're looking at some point in time, this external product, right, is represented usually on the diagram as a circle, and it could be linked to these particular products here. Right? You only need it once, but here's my logo. Right? So usually when we do planning, right, rectangles represent the internal products that the overall PM for that particular project is responsible for and has control on. The products that are not under this PM's control somewhere else are external, in other words, but is dependent on it, usually represented by circles. So we know the difference. And hence that planning exercise helps to bring this out. So this person does not build what he's not supposed to, but also does not deliver the solution without it because it is dependent on it. Now, one other type of product is in there. It's not just the ones that are dependent that somebody else is building, but they also exist already. So these products in here can also exist already. Right? They're off the shelf. Whoops. Off the shelf, for example. In the days when I used to use a slide presenter, in the slide presenter there's buttons and electronics for moving the slides back and forth on the computer, whatever, from a distance, right? With the infrared. However, or whatever system it uses. But however, there's also little laser beams so I can point at things, right? Whether you're still allowed to do that, I don't know. But you have the laser beam. Now, the laser beam is a controlled device. It has a controlled frequency. It is built already. I don't normally ask for it. I have to buy it off the shelf. So for something that already exists, that you do not actually get built specifically for you, right? But it's there already. This is another one that exists already. This is also an external product, but also dependent on it. If I need it in here, like the slide presenter needs my pointer, right? It exists already, therefore it's an external product. I'm not asking it to get it built. I do not have the control on getting it built as I would here. So all the circuits and the buttons and the moldings, for instance, for that slide presenter are in here. And this is a major thing to remember. Internal, external control, right? Not the products, not who's doing it. It's who has the control. Does it exist already or not? But I am dependent on this external product to be put into mine. So when I deliver the overall solution, it is there and I do not forget it. Can you imagine turning up with a new website without the logo? That wouldn't be very clever, would it? Right? But also understand what is out of scope at this point in time too. Quite often out of scope completely. Now, when you prioritize, there's always the won'ts, what I'm not going to deliver right now. That's not technically completely out of scope unless it gets allocated as that during the project. In other words, some requirement now becomes won't have, right? It comes out of scope. Sometimes you might permanently take it out. Other times you might just put it there because at the moment it looks like we might not be able to build it. But remember, if your project changes and you now got space to put that requirement in that became a won't, then you pull it back in. So technically it's not completely out now unless it gets earmarked that way by the business at some point throughout the project. So scope, we need to know what that is. I need to know what the overall deliverable is and what we're not delivering. I need to know what I have the control on if I'm the project manager for that overall deliverable, my internal control, and I need to know if they've got anything in this overall deliverable that I'm dependent on that somebody else has control on or it exists already. So I make sure I plan for it and get it into the project when I need it and coordinate all that.